Hello, everyone, and welcome to Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. In the news, Christy Lynn Hooten, a local insurance agent who operated Connect Insurance Agency, accused of pocketing people's premiums in 2017, was sentenced Wednesday to 10 years in prison on the theft charge and was ordered to pay fees to her victims, according to District Attorney Will Ramsey. The judge in the case indicated that he would likely bring the woman back to Hopkins County before 180 days in order to place her on shock probation. Once on probation, Hooten will be required to pay approximately $42,000 to victims, as well as reimbursement for settlement in a related lawsuit. Hooten was arrested November 8, 2017, after a lengthy investigation by the Hopkins County Sheriff's Office. Former part-time Precinct 1 JP clerk Letty Dolores Mosquito Jasso was sentenced Tuesday to 5 cases of tampering with a government record. The 32-year-old was sentenced to 270 days confinement in a state jail in one case. On the 4 remaining cases, she was sentenced to 10 years deferred adjudication probation. She was also assessed a $6,000 fine on one of the probation cases. D.A. Ramsey said that Mosquito Jasso would be required to serve time in a state jail and then be on probation once she is released. The charges resulted from a regular internal office audit of court records in the JP court. Warrants were issued for her arrest in July 2018.
Urologist Dr. Lauren Ost, whose clinic is at Christa's Healthplex, addresses men's health issues and encourages men to come in for an early detection prostate cancer test. Let's meet Dr. Ost.
So I remember coming here. This was one of my first trips in town to meet you and talk to your listeners.
Okay. How are you liking our weather in this part of Texas?
I'm struggling, but honestly, it's, and you'll have to tell me, living here your whole life, this hasn't been a bad summer yet, but it is already getting a little old for me.
It's kind of been a tricky summer as far as weather. It's not what we would expect, just unbroken, blistering heat with humidity, but we've had some variety so far. You come from the Chicago area?
Yes, ma'am. I grew up there.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I came here, I was looking forward to the warm summers.
You got them.
Am I crazy?
So you took your studies to be a doctor. You were inspired to become a doctor by how?
I think it happened by just coming to me. And I think a lot of people have that experience. It just hits them one day. But I was watching a show where a surgeon was working, and I just said, that's what I'd like to do. So that really began the process.
Well, you have done exactly that, and your first assignment in Texas has been with us here in Sulphur Springs, and I've seen many, many patients. In fact, in talking about your patient base, it is very broad.
Yes, ma'am. We have a area to cover from Texarkana to Greenville, Paris to Tyler. So everything in between, we take care of those people. And we become busier every year because people are aging and needing my services more and more all the time.
Okay, and men's health is our subject today, but tell us about your clinic here.
We're located on the 3rd floor of the Healthplex building on the Christus campus. Leah Irving is working with me. She's a nurse practitioner, and together we work 5 days a week. She stays in the office, but I'm also in the operating room about half of the time.
Okay. And Leah Irving, probably a well-known name here in a nursing career for many years in Hopkins County.
Yes, ma'am. I think a lot of your listeners know her very well.
Okay, Leah Irving, and she is a nurse practitioner at Dr. Lauren Ost's urology clinic.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us what sorts of challenges that you meet with patients coming in.
Well, this being Men's Health Month, the main thing I would like to talk about today is prostate cancer.
Okay.
Right now, there are men listening to me and watching us that have prostate cancer, and they don't know it. So I really want to send a message to you that get it checked, guys. You know what our ladies go through every year, and they start when they're a teenager, but to get an occasional check for prostate cancer, it's really not a big deal. There are two main parts to it. First is a simple blood test, and the second part is a physical examination. So getting a blood test is no big deal. We recommend doing it once a year when you are in your mid to late 40s. Frankly, the physical exam, it's not fun, it's not comfortable, it is embarrassing. Okay, we all know that. But honestly, once you get through it, it's not a big deal at all. If there's a problem detected in either of those tests, the exam or the blood test, then that leads us to have a suspicion that there may be a problem. Just because there's an abnormality found doesn't guarantee you have cancer. But it will lead your doctor to send you to me, and we'll talk to you about the proper tests from there.
Okay.
The thing about prostate cancer is it's silent. It doesn't cause any problems until the disease gets really bad.
Is it painless and silent?
It's definitely painless. And I'm seeing more and more men now. I don't know why it is. It might just be coincidence, but too many guys are coming in and it's too late. Oh. And when I mean too late, it's already spread, and when it spreads, it cannot be cured. So I don't want to get too dramatic about that, but if we catch it early, we can save so many problems and suffering that is just not necessary. If we catch it late, all you can do is treat it with medication. You can't cure it. So that's my main emphasis today is let's catch these things early and not put them off.
Do you think that with our technology growing and men becoming more aware that they need to have this tested, do you think that the cancer cases are fewer, or let's say inoperable cases are fewer?
Well, the technology sometimes leads to problems, okay?
Oh.
And by that I mean the more tests you do, it can lead to anxiety, or maybe, let's say the blood test comes back, the PSA is the blood test we do, and let's say it comes back abnormal, and this leads to having a biopsy done, which is what I do. Well, if the biopsy comes back negative, one could argue that the person went through that biopsy for no reason. So a lot of people say, well, why even go as far as testing for these things? Because it might lead to a lot of biopsies and risks taken doing those things and come out normal, and the fella has nothing to worry about. And that is definitely true. However, to get back to where I was and get these things diagnosed early is going to prevent that person from showing up too late. And that's happening a lot lately. You know, the ladies in our life are doing a good job. A lot of people come in at the insistence of their wife. And I need you ladies out there to keep that up and get your fellas in. You can start at your family doctor, and I really give credit to our local doctors because they do a good job at this. But our government a few years ago came to the decision to recommend men do not get these tests. And I think that's one possible factor that's leading to men showing up too late. And
what is this?
Right. The government decided to establish a panel. And the decision of these people was, look, don't get your PSA tested because it can lead to unnecessary biopsies. Again, that's very true. If you do not have cancer, then you didn't need the biopsy. However, for the guy who has it, that's the fellow who really wants to know. And I can't say enough that I disagree with that panel. It did not include a urologist. It did include people who see the devastating effects of prostate cancer when it's not caught.
That is pretty amazing.
Well, do we trust everything our government tells us? I'll leave that question in answer to the listener.
Well, for the man whose or woman whose family has been affected by prostate cancer,
right?
The victim wishing they had gone sooner.
Yes.
The focus is on early detection and prevention.
Exactly right. We have treatments for prostate cancer when it's detected early, and we can cure it. They're not easy or pleasant. They include surgery and radiation. But not everybody who has prostate cancer needs to be treated. For instance, if it's a slow growing small cancer, a lot of those cases can be observed and watched closely, and we don't necessarily have to try to cure it. But there are other guys who have a more aggressive, faster growing cancer, and really by making the decision to treat it will not only save their life but prevent a lot of pain and suffering down the road.
These different types of cancer, slow growing or aggressive and fast growing, are detected in the PSA test?
Yeah, that's really helpful. That's one important part of it. But the biopsy that I do is the main thing. It tells us how fast it's growing, how much cancer there is, how risky it is to their future.
Okay. Well, it is a lovely thing through Christus Mother Frances Hospital in our area here that we have so many features of medicine to offer to people locally. We don't have to drive a long distance anymore.
Right, that's very true. We're bringing in new specialists all the time. We have a very busy gastrointestinal doctor, pain doctor, orthopedics. A lot of specialties are here locally.
And including Dr. Ost, who is a urologist, and besides the prostate cancer, which is what you are focused on today, because there's a dire message that needs to be out, to be tested, come in and be tested. Listen to your wife, your mom, your mother-in-law, etc.
Exactly.
And go get that done. And what age range did you say?
Okay, that's a great question. We recommend starting at age 50.
Okay.
If there's nothing else to prompt you to start earlier. And the things that would prompt you to start earlier would be if you're a black man or if you have it in your family. So, gentlemen, if your dad has it, if your brother has it, please get tested yesterday, okay? But if those factors do not exist, then you can start at age 50. However, anyone, say you're age 40 and you just want to go and get tested, it's no big deal. You just have a physical exam and a blood test. If everything's okay, then you can probably put it off for 3 to 5 years, something like that. But if you're that one person out there who has undetected significant cancer that's going to harm you, you really want to be the guy who knows early on, because you can prevent so many problems down the road in your life.
Well, and people that we run into at the store or wherever at church, there are so many stories out there of people who have battled cancer and are leading a fulfilling life. And so we would want to point to those positives there. But take the steps and take advantage of our panel of doctors here in Sulphur Springs.
Yep, I agree 100%. We're local, and we're here for you.
Thank you, Dr. Ost, for coming in and telling us about your urology clinic. And it is in the 3rd floor, did you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, of the Healthplex building.
Yes.
Thank you for coming in.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
In sports, Sulphur Springs ISD's The Edge conditioning program hit roughly the halfway point after workouts Thursday morning. 3 weeks are done, and with roughly 3 weeks to go. There will be no Edge on Tuesday, July 9th and Wednesday, July 10th. Wildcats football coach and athletic director Greg Owens says these are days that UIL has mandated will be dead days, and no athletes are allowed at athletic facilities. That leaves 10 days of the Edge left. Full weeks, Monday through Thursday, the weeks of July 1st and July 15th, with workouts in between Monday, July 8th and Thursday, July 11th. The Edge wraps up Thursday, July 18th. Coach Owens says the Edge continues to be beneficial for those that are attending. With skills training going on in various sports, Coach Owens estimates that around 200 athletes are involved in boys and girls basketball, volleyball, boys and girls soccer, freshman football, varsity and JV football, and middle school athletics. When Coach Owens gets frustrated by athletes not attending the Edge, he says offensive coordinator Matt Young reassures him by saying that those kids that they're really depending upon are here. Coach Owens says athletes attending the Edge are seeing results. He says the Edge workout enders, such as gassers, 80-yard runs, and hill running at Coleman Lake are being done much easier now than weeks ago. Coach Owens says the Edge includes old stuff that his coaching staff has been doing for years, along with new ideas borrowed from Michael Johnson Performance last summer and new things brought in by Wildcats defensive coordinator Alex Guerra, who is into certified athletic training. Coach Owens says his staff also picked up some ideas from a speed and strength event at Baylor. He says the Edge concentrates on speed, agility, and strength. And Coach Owens says a big emphasis this year is on developing the athlete's glutes and hamstrings. And that's Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. Thank you for watching, and so long, everybody.